Hi everybody and welcome to the 9th edition of Ljubljana Talks. Here in studio as always is with me my colleague Jan Oršič.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone, and we have a special guest today, Mladen Ljubišić, a guy with a long history in tourism and travel industry, and also in some other fields, and we will talk about that later. But today we will talk with Mladen about the hotel revolution. Mladen, what is for you a hotel revolution?
Well, hello everyone. Hotel revolution, I don't know. If I just use our slogan as from the Hotel 166, the newly opened hotel in Ljubljana, we are the rebels of hospitality industry. So pretty much rebelling against anything or everything pre-established or well-established within the classic hotel concept. I think it was due time for this to happen in Slovenia as well, and I'm super happy that we are, let's say, pioneering this way, at least in Slovenia, trying to make few things a bit different.
Well, you opened this hotel in the middle of the crisis. How this crisis affected that opening?
In many ways, yeah. We were supposed to open it obviously a bit sooner, but due to COVID restrictions, specifically with supply chain, everything was delayed, so we opened in July this year, which wasn't the perfect timing. However, we were still able to at least get something from the high season to get the ball rolling, to get the name 166 known across the globe, hopefully. And yeah, it wasn't the best timing, but I guess better late than never.
Yeah, from Jan. Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you something very similar, and that is that, you know, you have a new product, a new story, but at the same time is extremely exciting to see something so fresh in the destination, because it is such a different concept that despite it not being within the city center, I think you're a very strong competition to the hotels in the city center.
Okay. I typically don't regard ourselves as being in competition, though we obviously are. We are in many ways the hotel or sleeping arrangement provider, but we do want to diversify ourselves, that we're not just a place for you to sleep. That's the whole concept of the lifestyle hotel. Lifestyle concept isn't new in the world or Europe, it's new in Slovenia, though we shifted things around within the lifestyle concept as well. Again, we are located not in the city center, we are located next to the main road. So from the classic tourist standpoint, we are in a not a privileged location. However, what we have discovered is that it's mostly we that are preoccupied where we are located at the end of the day. If the concept works, if the price is right, if everything around the hotel works, location plays a very small role, let's say.
You don't believe in the concept location.
No, I used to believe in that. I must say I was predetermined by the hotel industry concept, but very soon, especially now working with 166, that's been very clear that location is just one element and definitely not the strongest one.
What I personally like very much is this concept of the living room. You know, when you enter to this loft, then you immediately have that feeling that you're in your own living room. And there are so many details, and this is what I personally really like. So what can you say about the features, actually, a few features which you would like to really, you know, put in focus?
Okay. I mean...
not too many, just, you know.
I mean, the lifestyle concept is about, you know, people hanging out, having a community or communal space where you can interact not just with fellow tourists or someone from abroad, but definitely with the local environment. So, and the tourism, I think, is going in that direction where tourists don't want to feel like being a part, don't want to feel like being just a tourist, but they want to, at least in some way, interact with the local community. And lifestyle concept hotel is perfect for that. Šiška area where we are located, it's a population of around 30,000-40,000 people. So plenty of people for travelers to hang out with. And the whole concept within the loft is this main communal area for those who don't know. It's the place where people gather, locals and tourists alike. Locals can come for a breakfast or lunch or dinner or just to hang out. Local businesses do come very often in our hotel free of charge, because we do have a separate kind of a business corner, and where they can conduct meetings or just exchange ideas, or just have a place where they feel super comfortable, because again, it's all about the vibe, it's all about the atmosphere. And being in our hotel will definitely not make you feel like you're in a hotel. It's more like a living room scene, as you mentioned. What we are super proud of is the interior design. It's a, let's say, a modern look with a strong industrial twist. So very strong industrial elements, from exposed bricks to having helicopter propellers used as a ventilator, to having a food truck where actually food is prepared, breakfast in our case, but it has a its use, so it's not just there for as a decoration, but it has its purpose. Or a basketball court, or a conference room that it's actually a basketball court. Yeah. So quirky elements, but then it's a trick how to combine those different elements into a story that doesn't feel too cramped. And I think what we were really good at is to have all those elements combining into a story that doesn't feel, let's say, overcrowded or too many details. It's actually, you flow nicely within those between those elements, let's say.
So maybe you believe also that storytelling is the way of doing business now, as a hotel, actually entering the market, or just selling square meters, just selling,
because your hotel has a story that goes to many other stories, film stories.
So it's not just about. I think people misjudge storytelling, that let's come up with the story, let's tell it, and people will buy it. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really work that way.
Agreed.
It needs to come from
your heart,
from within what you are actually doing. And our story actually started years back, because the owners own many places, hospitality places in Ljubljana, where they already tested out those ideas, anything from interior design to how the service should work. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't something that we just came up with and it worked. It's actually years and years and years of practice of making mistakes that actually led to now this being a perfect combo. So it's just people often think that it was just that we got lucky, let's say, but in reality it's the knowledge and experiences and making mistakes from the past.
I saw yesterday that there is no classical hierarchy in the hotel management too, so you're quite flat actually. So you take this from the startup scene, or from where actually?
It's
because it's definitely different from other hotels, I know actually.
I think what owners learn, that within the hospitality it's very hard to have a centralized or classic hierarchy, because there are so many decisions that need to be made at the spot. So if you need to follow a hierarchy, it's really, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it makes you very, very rigid. And what we want as hoteliers to do is offer flexibility. And I guess if you ask me what's the best or what's the unique selling point of this hotel, is the ability to be so flexible that people are in awe. You as a hotelier, you can do that, you can cater to such details. Yep.
But you're now breaking that stereotypical concept of a hotel structure and the concept of running a hotel and doing a hotel. I mean, for me, it's interesting. The building was before used for different purposes. You gave it a new story, a new life. You have probably the most known pizza delivery service within the house. Yeah. You take so much, into the community, and I think as a communal space, you're actually not just reinventing the hotel business, but you're actually going back to the roots how do how do you see your role within the community of Šiška? Because that's the added value that you have.
That's actually the main driver behind it. Is I'm not gonna say getting guests to the hotel is easy. It's not. What it is really hard is getting locals into the hotel. So even from the day one, we didn't want to have a hotel where locals would feel afraid to even walk in. So let's say the pizzeria that you were mentioning, it's Dobra Villa. They've been around for 10 plus or 15 years. Within the Šiška scene, they are strongly connected to Šiška. They only even cater to Šiška in terms of delivery. And before the hotel, they were actually running this pizza joint from a really small place. That's why they only had delivery. So it was a no-brainer for us because we wanted to offer something different. And pizza is like let's call it a staple food of all generation and all nationalities. So not many people dislike pizza. Yeah. And then having a pizzeria now at your place that
topic for the next who hates pizza?
Who hates pizza? Yeah, who hates pizza? I mean, and then again, having a pizza place that is so well known by locals in your hotel, because they were actually dying to come and dine, having been seated, and now they can. And it's again, we were talking about stories. So if the story leaks in many places, it's not actually a story. It's just you trying to sell something. So for us, it was okay. How can we really be part of the community? So again, having a pizza place that it's known within Šiška was just a step one. Yeah. We have many of those steps that correlate this this idea of being part of the local community.
If I can comment, yesterday there was a client of yours. Yeah. He's actually a big organizer of events. I will not mention the name. One of the biggest in Ljubljana. And he asked me, Gorazd, I'm so happy here. Is there any other place? Because I cannot go just to this place. I'm looking for more such places. And that was a confirmation that you are doing a great job. Because they can come also there just for a coffee and have a meeting in your place free of charge. And then later on they can turn this to something bigger, wider, and so on. And this flexibility again was to me really, really important. But maybe we can also move to your background. A little bit. Many of them. Yeah, artificial intelligence. Can you explain a little bit more? What does it mean for the hotel business and for meetings and events? Because you're really expert in that field, and we are not a big experts, and we would like to learn something new.
I'm gonna first say I'm not an expert, or I don't classify as one, especially not within the AI or any of the emerging technologies. Yeah. It's just something maybe that we picked up a bit earlier than others. But a few years back, when you were talking about AI or virtual reality or augmented reality or blockchain even, you were probably looked at as, let's say, being a bit crazy, or what do you need this for? Tourism is for people. We need to do everything person to person. Otherwise, tourism won't exist. It's just plain bollocks. Yeah. Tourism is an industry that has been around for, let's say, 100 years or probably less. Organized tourism started like after the World War II. So
well, that's a completely different debate.
No, it is. But let's say in the early 50s, let's say Brits were the first to organize such in an organized way where people could afford, even the normal people would afford stay in France for 2 weeks. What I'm trying to say is that tourism doesn't necessarily rely on person to person. I'm not saying eliminates person to person interaction completely. No, yeah. I'm just saying that technology is moving in that direction. I understand that older generation is reluctant to accept certain, let's say, elements of it, and it's perfectly reasonable and it's okay. You need the progressives and you need the conservatives for things to be just right. If you do something too quickly, usually it won't work. Again, if you're too slow, you miss the opportunity. So AI, let's see how it will play out within the hotel industry. Definitely, check-in procedures, check-out procedures, elements where you can actually eliminate human touch will be the first to be replaced by robots or machines or some type of software.
Are you implementing any of these new innovative technologies in how you run the hotel?
In terms of hotel operation, not yet. Though we are looking at what to do, especially now with COVID, you know, protections. How can we eliminate person-to-person interaction? Again, but by not sacrificing on atmosphere, on having, you know, people need to have trust in a hotel. So we're not just there yet where people would trust a software or a robot. Even airliners that are using AI are offering to their best customers a phone number where they can call and speak to a person. So that's going to become an added value. So having a person-to-person interaction will be a luxury, not a necessity anymore. And things that can be replaced digitally will be replaced. It's just a matter of time, and it's a matter of technology adaptation, which I cannot really, let's say, I cannot tell a future in saying, okay, within the 5 years. I mean, technology is ready already. Adaptation takes time. COVID, you know, let's say probably put a little bit of fire to this, so things will happen quicker.
Look at our industry, actually. Actually, it was a revolution, definitely, the COVID.
And it's a part of the evolution, because I think, you know, also with you bringing a new concept to the hotel product of Ljubljana, which I find incredibly important that we have, it's also a signal how, you know, people tend to look at hotels differently. And I let me just kind of sum it up. You know, 100 years ago, a hotel was built so that, you know, it would be a part of the local community. It would have the ballroom, it would have the restaurant, it would be open, it would be inviting, and then it would have hotel rooms on the top, right? So I think you're kind of doing that when most of the hotels kind of forgot about that part of bringing in the locals, actually being the primary business and only the overnight secondary. And when we are talking about technology, you know, as Gorazd mentioned, we've seen a revolution, and we made huge strides. I mean, even this as a concept is something completely new. The platform that we are using is evolving. It has gone through so many changes since we started. But it's about the implementation. It's about, you know, evolving that initial idea and driving it. So for me, the interesting bit about the whole story of 166 is the community, but it's also that you, in a way, attract perhaps a different type of traveler. Would you agree?
100%. Definitely, even coming back to what Gorazd said about going back to the roots. So as you mentioned, hotels started this way because they had to rely on locals. Rooms were an add-on. Then, you know, with the mass tourism and, you know, every country started, you know, spending millions and millions of, you know, dollars or euros or whatever currency, you know, snowballed the effect where traveling became a necessity. Almost almost a God-given right. And we rode that wave, and hoteliers didn't mind about the locals at all. It was actually even better not for the locals to come in. It's, you know, they're gonna mix with, we don't know how they're gonna dress, blah, blah, blah. You know, all this stuff that hoteliers were concerned about, and in the given moment, they were right. What they were short-sighted. That's the reality. So what we did well was, it's really hard to change perception. Not just in hotel, in any case, even as a human to human, if you dislike someone at the very beginning, it's highly unlikely you're gonna be friends. So hotels, classic hotels will have issues, or will be almost mission impossible to change their face now. Okay, let's all start with this, inviting the locals. It doesn't work that way. You're already perceived as a place not to go. Changing that perception, I'm not saying it's impossible. Changing that perception takes time.
It's not a mission impossible, but it's difficult, let's say so,
It's not even as difficult as it is time consuming, and it takes time. You don't change perception quickly. You don't change it in a year. You don't change it in 2. You might change it in 5. But again, if from the commercial standpoint, if something takes 5 years to transform, it's usually commercially non-available or not even an option. So what we are doing, but it's easier let's say for us, because we started as a local hotel, let's say in 10 years, if it happens that locals will have this, I don't know, trauma against going to the hotels and will again need to rely on tourists, for us it will be easier to make that switch to, let's say, tourists or foreigners only than the other way around.
But you see, it's in a way, you know, before the whole COVID situation, we had a very interesting debate within the city, within any destinations really, and that was the emergence of Airbnb.
Yeah.
Because Airbnb kind of shook the whole thing, and you know, people will say, I prefer to go to Airbnb and have my own kitchen, and I have 2 bedrooms, and it's different kind of comfort, and I feel more integrated into the local community. And then the local community would say, you know, it is driving our prices up and it's making us unavailable, even though, you know, despite now Airbnb is falling, the prices keep rising. So I don't think the correlation is that strong. But what I do think perhaps as a part of the story, and what you were saying, is about bringing that community to the hotel. So I think on one side, the locals really like hotels because for them they are not a danger.
Yeah.
They are an institution that they understand, and at the same time, if it provides services as you do, because you have, you know, awesome burgers and great cocktails, and you have a space which in that environment is actually missing. There are no such spaces within Šiška. I know.
Yeah, there's maybe one, but it's a party place. Kino Šiška as a venue. It's a party venue or concert venue.
But it's different again.
But different, definitely, and obviously. We don't, let's even with Šiška, we don't compete. This is just I think it's best of both worlds. So it does offer, let's say, an ambience or a kind of a living room vibe, whilst, you know, being an institution that people understand, where people usually feel safe because they know, if anything, that we need to follow certain guidelines, that there are bits and bobs that we need to understand and implement, and they should feel safe, but then again, not to the extent where they feel uncomfortable walking into the hotel. So what we really did well was this, you know, being part of Šiška, but then again, owners of that pizza place are from this famous movie, Šiška Deluxe. So it's not just, as I said, it's not just that we created the story and now we're trying to push it. This story is our story, we're just sharing it.
So, a part of your story is also that you were the Slovene tourist organization representative in London.
Yeah, a long time.
And London is in a way a, you know, mecca for hotel business.
100%.
So can you give me an example of something that you really liked there? And did you bring it here?
Of course.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
I mean, as I said, nothing we do is revolutionary, apart from, you know, changing bits. Let's say lifestyle hotels are not that good at attracting locals in general. This is something we develop, but again, because the story works, because there's a 10 or 20 years of background. It's not something we created and now we're playing the game. So going back to London, so my office was in Shoreditch. Shoreditch is this hip area with lots of, you know, quirky bars, quirky concepts. And there's this hotel, Ace Hotel, that it's a lifestyle hotel, or similar to the concept we were aiming at, you know, implementing. And I was their regular guest. My office was like 3 minutes walking. And I spent a lot of time there. There was Brick Lane. Brick Lane is this hip area within the Shoreditch community. Again, picking up a few bits and bobs there. I visited Soho House very, very often. Again, picking, you know, best practices there, and then you're, you know, juggling. So, you know, as I said, people often say, this was, you were just lucky. Now it's so many elements when you go into details why this hotel is now successful as being a local hotel, whilst being quirky, you know.
So that drives us to the last question almost. You are a basketball player, but what is your music taste? That we understand also that part, you know, because we always ask this question.
That's why you have a basketball court.
Of course, we understand that.
I still play basketball professionally, though in minor leagues. Obviously, I'm not in the first league. It's just passion of mine. I used to play it really, really professionally, but then at the age of 19, I got injured and I lost the appetite for basketball, let's say, and I quit. And then 13 years went by, and then COVID happened. I moved from London back to Ljubljana. I really didn't know what to do. I ended a 10-year relationship. I was a bit lost, and basketball was something, okay, this is me, this is my old love. You know, basketball is my first love, and I said, okay, let's give it a try. I'm still well connected with the community, so all of my ex-players are now either coaches within clubs or they are fitness trainers, blah, blah, blah. So I gathered the people I used to know. They got me in shape within a year.
Cool.
And I got drafted, and now I'm playing.
What about music?
Music as a basketball player, it started with hip hop and rap, obviously.
Cool.
But you have those amplifiers in the corner of the hotel, but those are not rap.
No, those are not. I mean, this is my personal preference. No, those speakers are, because the love that you mentioned is actually a multifunctional space that can be privatized. So we can host parties. It's not a business model that we want to pursue per se, but let's say within Christmas period, we had actually the whole place was booked out probably every second day. For larger events, usually, let's say, staff parties, because we have a DJ booth and we have a corner where we can put and make or prepare a concert.
Super cool.
So yeah, it's not a party hotel. I do need to say that,
correct, yeah.
But we can organize hell of a party, and we have 15 years of experiences doing so. So again, it's not something we just made up. It's something that's been part of our DNA for a long time.
One more question I need to ask this. Since you were 10 years in UK representing Slovenia, what is the zeitgeist of Slovenian tourism at this particular moment? What can you say about it?
About the zeitgeist, I don't know if I can comment, because I haven't been in touch with them really for at least a year and a half. So I know there's been many changes recently with, you know, changing the director stepping down, a new coming into unknown environment. So I'm not really sure. I don't think I'm qualified to comment on that. But when I was there, it was really, really good.
Then let's ask a different question, but it's still relevant to the same topic. And that is, how do you see now, we have Brexit, we have COVID, we have everything that's going on. How do you see the connection between Slovenia market, what you're trying to do, and the UK market that you know so well?
Yeah, UK market will bounce back. That's 100%. It will be probably the first market to bounce back. I think Slovenians are making a huge mistake by not investing in it, and investing in it now when no one is. When UK market bounces back, everyone will be doing so. So all 147 countries that have at least representative office or a PR office there will do the same thing, and then you'll just be one of the voices within the
I would agree.
Storm of voices and campaigns.
Because I think we're overlooking the fact that it is the most connected destination to Ljubljana.
100%.
You know, we have basically all the major airports catering to Ljubljana, and we forget about that.
Yeah, the only issue with the UK, but then again, it's about short-sightednesses. I mean, the short. Let's put it this way: you need to have a plan for a year, obviously, but you do need to think about what's going to happen in 3 to 5 years and where you're going to be at the time. So if you start doing things now in 2-3 years, you know, kind of a history span, then things will be easier for you. But number one mistake that Slovenians, let's say, I'm not going to comment on other countries or destinations. I know that it's not commercially sensible to invest in the UK market now because they cannot travel. I understand that. But when they start to travel and you start your campaigns, then you're too late. You need to be in the game now. I was really trying really, really hard with destinations to get their heads around. I was unable to do so. It was one of the reasons why I shifted away from, you know, destination marketing, because Slovenians were just too concerned what's going to happen with vouchers in 2020 or 2021. They are, and still now they're not thinking what's going to happen in 2022. And I honestly just gave up.
Now you can ask questions to us, so if you have anything for us, you want to ask. And of course, also the participants on Clubhouse, the guests on Clubhouse, you can ask anything you want, and of course raise your hands and we will give you the stage, the place on the stage. So Mladen, do you want to ask anything?
Yeah, I mean...
we are meeting planners or from the Meetings Industry Society, so basically we are here to answer anything you want.
So I'm going to now share my unpopular opinion about events.
Yes.
And I know within the event industry, hybrid seems to be the problem solver. I think hybrid type of events is doomed to fail. And I'm wondering why you think hybrid works, because in how I see things, I just cannot get that concept.
You will start, Jan.
I can start from giving you an example from the association world, because we focus on associations, right? Our main kind of focus is events with about 1,000 plus participants. We planned them so long before, and the whole procedure. And one thing that we've noticed is there are associations out there that actually found that they can be more profitable if they do a hybrid event. Yeah. And that goes because of two reasons. First is that their main goal of any association is knowledge distribution.
Okay.
So they actually get their knowledge to people that perhaps before couldn't afford to travel. Now they can afford to pay a participation online, and they can be somewhere from Africa, they can be from Asia, wherever. They get the knowledge in, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is associations are mostly motivated by membership. And when you get that knowledge globally available, which now through hybrid is very easy to do, they're actually increasing their memberships. And so they might be having a loss with less people on the conference physically and paying to be physically there, but they're making up that money by getting new association members and creating or a hybrid event so that you have a single hub and everybody's digital, or multiple hubs, or just, creating this sort of different models of operations. So that is why certain models of hybrid, I think, are about to stay, because also we are just now doing the analysis of all the upcoming conferences for next year. And we see there's quite a few of them that are taking on the hybrid option, they're taking on the digital option, they're providing that option because they want to serve their purpose.
Yeah, but let's say what I see within, I'm just going to interrupt, all that you say makes sense. But you don't need hybrid. Why don't go fully digital?
Because at the end of the day, they still want to meet. People do want to meet with one another. But let's say you have, let me give you an example of a ICA Congress that took place this year. So they did South Africa hub, they did South America hub, they did Asia hub. I think there were actually 3 hubs in Asia, and they did Europe hub. So what happens is a lot of people actually that are focused on the regional or continent, on a single continent market, that for them is enough. So they will actually go to that place, and they perhaps otherwise would not be able to travel to South America, right? Okay. And they still get to see that client, they still get to do the networking, but it's within those little bubbles all around.
Okay.
So.
Anyhow, if you want to do a proper hybrid, then of course you need to have a production, which is quite expensive. Yeah. And the great production is always live. You need to have a studio, you need to have really a lot of equipment and so on, and you can build on that. And if you add on some participants, that's of course a plus. Yeah. But then we are thinking about wider audience you can bring in. And there are many angles we can cover. First of all, let's say so that we need to create a dialogue, as you said, Jan. And with the hybrid, we can have a local dialogue and international dialogue. Then we can talk about monetization and about mainly experience marketing model. We are not part of logistics or part of tourism at all, actually. We are a creative industry, that's the point.
Yeah.
And if you understand what we're doing as part of experience marketing, which is part of general marketing, then our role is much wider. And you need to have a good content. And if you have a good content, then you can play this game. Without the content, you can not do anything. And what we are talking now, we are talking about platforms. For example, there are many examples where you can play the game, and you have a combination of live, digital, and so on, or on different platforms, like it is, for example, really a great example I can mention, this Grohe. Grohe is a producer of these things, pipes actually, and so on. And they have a platform, GrowX, where all the people interested in this product can learn something new, meet, exchange experiences, and this is much wider than a classical event itself. And we need new skills in our teams, people with new skills. These are more multimedia people than ever before, and this is a brand new world. And the problem is that to enter this quite complex business, you need to have a lot of knowledge. So now, before the crisis, everybody could organize event, a meeting, but now it's absolutely different, and I can talk for hours about this.
I mean, why the main reason I'm worried about hybrid is, and I see it happening even with fully digital, but again, maybe that's due to not having the right content, maybe it's even not having the right knowledge, but I'm saying from my experience, what I've seen from such conferences or events, that they are just a copy-paste of real world to digital world done wrongly, or trying to get the elements of the real world into digital, if I say not thinking digitally, or creating a business concept, even monetization concept, that it's different from what you used to, or how you're selling, I don't know, sponsorship programs, how you're selling this, how you're selling that. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a learning curve where hybrid will find its place and build a ecosystem or infrastructure where they work, or where they find the way to work in the right manner.
I mean, this is a conversation with Gorazd. We had it at Conventa Crossover, right? We had almost 100 people live, and there were quite a few people virtually as well. And what was very interesting was the debate about, how do you perceive business travel? And if you have a one-day event somewhere, is it worth it for you to spend a whole working day traveling there, being there at the conference, traveling back? Does that make sense?
No.
It doesn't, right?
We're always coming to question why, actually. Why?
But you can create, but you can create a hybrid event that takes place one day, and let's say people from the radius of a couple of 100 kilometers will actually join live, and everyone else can join virtually if it is an education. We're talking about education. So definitely if we're talking about sales and networking and signing contracts, of course everybody wants to be personal, and they want to, have that opportunity to go out for drinks. And IBTM just took place, and IMEX took place, and we could see how everybody was really eager to kind of go back to that modus operandi that we know. But at the same time, when you would have the meetings, you see that people now have kind of taken up the idea, let's have a meeting, let's do it on Zoom. Just let's stop writing those crazy emails that go on forever and ever and ever, and you resolve nothing. You go for 1 hour, you can do it interactive, you can channel people in, you can put in contents that everybody sees, you can edit documents as you go. It's much more effective. It's about effectiveness. Because at the end of the day, that is my personal opinion, that one thing that we have learned in the last 2 years is that people have started valuing time much more than before.
Okay, makes sense, of course.
And for me, let's say, because this is like something that with Gorazd we have been talking about also on this platform. And it's about, one thing is to say, okay, the future, is it digital, is it hybrid, is it personal? That's one way of looking at it. We definitely know that the ecosystem is changing, the way of how business is done is changing, the tourism industry is changing, everybody's looking for workers, there's no workers, so that we have to find solutions for that. And then you look at the other spectrum of our industry, and that is, our activities of how we market the destination. So we've noticed that, let's say print media, Gorazd has a magazine, and how much printing do you do?
Not anymore. No.
There you go. So we've taken something that was before completely unheard of, to say we do not need an ad in a printed media.
Yeah.
Nobody does printed media really anymore. Everything's digital, everything's virtual, everything is on YouTube. Hey, YouTube. The platforms are changing. We are optimizing our time. And for me, the biggest worry is that you get somebody that is young and eager to work, right? And you tell them the concept of what we do. And then you send them on the trade show. And before it was like, when you don't have a meeting, you stand in the corner and you wait for someone to pass, and then you will jump on them, and then you will tell them your story, and they will buy your destination because they've never heard of it. Now, let's think about how somebody that's young will go and look at that, because that's just not happening anymore. Anyone that says, I wanted to talk to you because I don't know your destination, tell me about your destination, you know that, like, oh my God, are you the only person without internet in the room? Or, how did you get here? Or you don't have the YouTube, you didn't Google it? Come on, everybody Googles everything. So this is where the knowledge capacity is changing, and how, you skip that first step. Slovenia is between Venice and Vienna. It takes about 3 hours to go to Munich. It takes 1 hour to Zagreb. Great, we know it. But now that is not really the stuff that you go and you travel for a day there and a day back to tell that to someone. That's why I think the hybrid has the value.
Okay, I'm just like worried, why mixing real life with digital? Because there are two different concept and business model working together, and how you manage those, and how do you cross-reference them.
Look at Meta, look what Zuckerberg is doing. He's doing exactly that. He is mixing the virtual and the live. He's going directly into that.
Guys, we are running out of time. That's the problem. You opened completely new topic now. So, but we are definitely running out of time. But you can definitely answer this.
No. Because I actually wanted to ask, the second question was how I see virtual events, or the future is. I'm not going to say not with Zuckerberg's model. With his model, in my opinion, it won't work, because Meta as a metaverse should not be Facebook's model. It should be as this type of internet, a free of charge, accessible to everyone, softwares or hardwares, that could mix and create a story. As soon as it's a one thing, then I don't know, Apple will have its own Meta, Facebook will have its own, and it won't work. The concept of Meta then dilutes. So what do you think about having business meetings with your avatar, where you can actually showcase a destination, because it will be a digital footprint of Slovenia there. You can actually transport to Lake Bled or Ljubljana or any corner of the world and showcase it without even having a meeting. You can just go there.
Yeah, I mean, you ring at the hotel, the reception, okay, I want to sign a deal with you, okay, here are my details, bam. Can I check your room? Sure, here you go. Do I need to wait? No, you don't have to. Is there a waiting line? No, there isn't.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
That's how I see.
It's exciting.
That's how I see tourism and the whole event space. And I think travel will again, because travel started as a luxury concept, went to a cheap concept, and is now returning back to a
exclusive
thing.
Yeah.
So I think the meta, or the digital tourism, will be. So it won't replace tourism per se. It will just be accessible to everyone, because real travel won't be accessible to everyone.
I think Gorazd is really nervous.
No, I need to stop you. It was an interesting debate. Thanks, Mladen, for coming to our studio. Jan, thanks.
To be continued.
Yes.
Right?
Stay tuned to our Ljubljana Talks. So we will come back soon with some great guests again, and have a nice day, and power to the meetings.
Bye. Take care.